He was just 17, starving, exhausted, and invisible to everyone. A teenager sleeping on park benches, with aspirations too grand for the streets that attempted to destroy him. Most never even gave him a passing glance. But on one fateful night, a single incident made his battle something much greater than mere survival. What ensued was not a battle over food or a place to stay. It was a battle against a system that never imagined he could be anything. How does a homeless black teenager go from being overlooked to becoming a name that millions will never forget? He was a kid struggling to get by, 17 years old, with nothing but a tattered backpack and a notebook full of ideas that most people would laugh at. During the day, he roamed the city, scavenging for odd work, scrounging for food, fading into a world that treated him like a shadow. At night, he slept where he could, a bus stop, a doorway, occasionally the cold floor of a public library. Yet even in the quiet of those desolate nights, his mind was never at peace. He envisioned constructing something that would alter the lives of people. He drew blueprints under faint street lamps, holding on to hope like it was the only thing the world hadn't taken away from him. What he didn't know was that the very city he was trying to escape would soon test him in ways he could never imagine. Because in a world where his skin color spoke louder than his voice, the line between survival and tragedy was paper thin. Days ran together for him, scavenging for meals from half-full takeout containers, running day jobs that never materialized, avoiding the glares of strangers who crossed the street just to get out of his way. He was young, but already marked in strangers' minds, homeless, black, threatening. He learned to move silently, never calling attention to himself, because attention never ever brought anything positive. But on one night, his quiet wasn't sufficient. He was camped out in front of a convenience store, doodling schemes on the ripped-up pages of his notebook. Visions of machines, of systems, of devices that might one day revolutionize everything. To him, it was merely a means of distraction from the hunger gnawing at his belly. To everyone else, it was a threat. A customer emerged, noticed him, and sidled up to the cashier. He's hanging around, waiting to swipe something. Minutes afterwards, red and blue lights pierced the darkness. The officer did not pose questions. He ordered answers. Why are you here? Where's your ID? Where do you reside? The boy had no right answers. He stuttered as he attempted to clarify, yet his words were no match for the suspicion drawn on his skin. Hands clasped on the hood of a car, his visions scattered on the ground as his notebook opened, pages of drawings blowing in the night breeze. And in that instant, he realized a cold reality. However brilliant his concepts to them, he was already guilty. They released him eventually, but not without shame. Pockets emptied out, his stuff discarded, his spirit battered more than his person. He left, holding on to his notebook as if it were the very last fragment of himself they hadn't stripped away. But the world had not yet finished reminding him of his status. Doors closed at job interviews before he ever had a chance to speak. Applications went into silence. Employers would smirk at him when he told them he had no fixed address. Other employers would glance at his complexion and make up their minds about all else without so much as a word. Rejections didn't end at no. They were reminders that society had given up on him before he ever had a chance to show what he could do. And yet, he would not give up dreaming. Dreams don't protect you from harm, though. 7 days later, walking home from the library late at night, he saw the headlights slowing behind him. The same unease in his gut from the police stop, only more acute this time. Gravel crunched under tires. Laughter sounded within the vehicle, but not of a generous kind. He clutched his notebook more tightly. His legs moved faster. The voices became louder. And in that instant, he understood. This evening wasn't about hunger or seeking shelter or even pursuing opportunity. This was about survival. The car stopped. Doors slammed. Footsteps echoed against the empty street. He didn't need to look back to know. They were coming for him. His pulse thundered in his ears as voices spat words sharper than fists. What are you doing here? You don't belong. He attempted to explain. He was only walking away from the library, only being. But explanations evaporated on laughter. One of them pushed him hard into the brick wall, the notebook tumbling out of his grasp, pages riffling across the pavement like broken dreams. A boot descended upon the drawings he had given his heart to. Another hand clamped onto his collar, pushing him back so forcefully it took breath from his lungs. He was not a boy to them, not a dreamer, merely a target, a body, a warning. Fear seared through him, but so did something else. Anger. Anger at the never-ending cycle of being invisible until he was suspected, unheard until he was silenced, unwanted until he could be used as evidence of their authority. His fists shook, not out of weakness, but out of the overwhelming weight of being dehumanized again and again. The voices receded, the pressure eased, and for an agonizing moment, he questioned whether this was it. Whether his tale would be told here, on the frosty street, another faceless tragedy lost to the news cycle. And then, headlights sliced across the alley. A passing vehicle slowed, a phone raised, capturing. The men stayed frozen. Their threats became mutters, their hold relaxed, and in an instant, they vanished into the night. He fell to his knees, panting, collecting his ripped notebook in trembling hands. Pages creased, dreams smudged, body bruised but alive. And in that instant, with blood on his knuckles and flames in his chest, he made a vow. If the world was hell-bent on erasing him, he would make himself unforgettable. He survived that night, but survival came with scars. Every bruise on his body healed, yet the weight of humiliation, the sting of being treated as less than human, never fully faded. His notebook, creased, torn, but still clutched in his hands, became more than pages of sketches. It became a symbol, a promise to himself that he would not be defined by the hate of others. Day after day, he channeled his pain into creation. The very system that attempted to erase him became the fuel for his vision. Step by step, rejection by rejection, he constructed, and against every prediction, he ascended, transmuting his hunger, his struggle, and his rage into innovation that would one day fire millions of people. But his tale isn't merely that of one teenager who beat the odds. It's the story of a truth much broader, much heavier, that many others never cross the alley, never get a chance to rise, never see their brilliance noted because their pigmentation determined their destiny before they ever uttered a word. His triumph is testimony to the fact that strength can emerge from shadow, but it is a mirror compelling us to face the injustice that continues to envelop us. For every tale of survival, there are far too many silenced by violence, by bigotry, by institutions that refuse to acknowledge their humanity. So what is the question then? How many more dreams do we need to shatter before we would accept the truth? How many more voices do we need to stifle before we would hear? Because this isn't his alone. This is a reflection of all of us.